Well, I'm in the car and I've got some things to talk about. Firstly, thank you everyone for the nice messages yesterday, the comments. I know that we all go through this learning process with cars not doing what we think they're going to do. And I know that mechanics do. No matter how good you think they are, they also have this fun. So I know it's a normal thing. I just feel bad not getting videos out, not getting to show you what this single turbo kit can really do. I do feel bad about that. Now, a few things I need to talk about. I failed in yesterday's video, but we're getting to the bottom of most of the problems. So firstly, the Canbus integration with the reflex. The entire issue was my fault. I didn't realize that you did actually have to turn Canbus on with MHD. Now, with MHD, to turn and activate the Canbus link with the reflex, you actually need to set the ethanol content analyzer to reflex. The ethanol content analyzer setting to reflex activates all of the Canbus integration. So if you don't have ECA set to reflex, none of the Canbus works. I assumed that the Canbus would work when you turn MHD, when you just load MHD Plus, because I'm sure there's going to be people running full E85 that don't have flex sensors. Anyway, just so everybody knows, to get the Canbus link working, you just need to select or turn on the ethanol content analyzer to reflex, and it activates everything. This car's working. All sweet. That was fun to work out at midnight last night. Secondly, I did take the car to Jake's to try and work out what was going on with the coolant leaks. Now, we got it up in the air, got the subframe off, and found one cool... Let me play a clip. All right, just an update. The radiator is leaking. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up. Try and get it in there. But the end tank, it's basically coming out of the end tank. The water pump was leaking, but we managed to fix that. And also, the coolant pipe up there was also leaking. What a win. Yes, yeah, we found one coolant leak, then I found another coolant leak, and then we noticed the radiator's leaking. So I'm assuming that pressurizing the cooling system when I think it's lifted the head last week has done some damage to some hoses, or moved them anyway. We've reclamped them, and they seem to be okay. I've driven the car for about half an hour. No more coolant's come out. The radiator only leaked when we pressurized the system to the cap pressure, the 140 kilopascals, or whatever it is. So it seems normal driving. I don't lose coolant. We're all good. We do still have that kind of small issue with boost going crazy. So on the trip home last night, I thought I'd do some logs. I've sort of written this engine off. I assume the engine is hurt, gonna need a rebuild. So I was being a bit silly. I knew it was over boosting, but I did some logs anyway. 30 PSI. This thing really feels good at 30 PSI. I like 30 PSI on this thing. And long story short, it didn't spit any coolant out, even at 30 PSI. I took it out this morning, trying to work out a few things with the gearbox, which we'll talk about in a second. And yeah, it hasn't spat coolant out again. I've done 4 or 5 pulls at 30 PSI. The bad thing, I noticed in the log last night, rail pressure is dropping pretty hard. Now, nothing seems to be working properly with the reflex at the moment, but it's probably just the boost control side of it. Low pressure, fuel pressure stays right up there. We just might need to adjust a few things with the port injection settings to be suitable for 30 PSI. 30 PSI is a lot more boost than 25 PSI. Now, the big thing that's been on my mind, and probably the most expensive problem that I have right now, and I say that's more expensive than the engine because I do have an engine spare, is the gearbox clutch slipping. When I went through it yesterday, actually I've been trying to work on this all week. I know I only did the video yesterday, but I've been trying to get this sorted all week. And on Monday, it's Friday today, on Monday I reset adaptations, and we did clutch adaptations, gearbox adaptations, torque values, did the whole lot in the end. And it actually drove nicer, but it would still slip really bad in first. And I'm fairly confident I tried second gear starts as well, and it was still slipping, which is why I've been going down the track of there's some sort of disconnect between the transmission and the road speed. Once the car is rolling, first gear is fine. It's just, it doesn't want to get off the line. Now, I don't know for sure, but when I reset the clutch adaptations yesterday, and don't forget now I've had stock tune on it, I've loaded XHP God knows how many times, the car still creeps when you've got it in drive, which it shouldn't creep with XHP. But yesterday I was mainly just testing first gear, so I'd come out here, try it in first, it would slip, it's still broken. This morning, and playing around with it a bit with Jake last night, I think it's my first gear clutch pack. Now, the reason I haven't thought it was clutches is because once you get rolling, it's fine. It sort of holds this power pretty well. I did a 30 PSI third gear pull last night, and it just sort of hooked up and went. No flaring, shifted into fourth. I don't get it. So why is this car fine once it's moving, but slipping from a standstill? All I can think of is the XHP that I've got on this has the line bump. And the line bump feature has only been around for about a year. Maybe the extra line pressure actually holds the clutch clamping force well enough once you get it moving, once you get the revs up, and it holds it fine. But at low RPM, the oil pump isn't making enough pressure to actually hold the worn clutch. So maybe it is a slightly worn clutch that would be a problem with a normal flash at this power level, but with the XHP line bump, it's not a problem once the oil pressure kicks in. That's where I'm at theory-wise. That's also come about because it seems to take off in second gear okay now. I swear it didn't earlier in the week. I'll show you once we get going. But yeah, second gear, it seems to take off fine. It's really weird. I don't know why it doesn't slip through all the gears. Now I'm going down this path. I reckon it does flare a little bit more second to third and fourth to fifth. So when it's shifting into the odd gears, which is where clutch pack number 1 works, it does flare a little bit more than when it shifts into the even gears. It kind of sounds cool because the engine does a little pop and a crackle, but yeah, I'm thinking maybe that's what's going on. I put these weird shifts down to getting rid of the JB4 because now the noises you get out of the DCT sound amazing, but maybe there is a problem. I'm thinking it's a clutch. We'll talk about it later. But I actually changed the air filter on the turbo and it was kinking one of the boost lines. I've checked all of the wastegate lines. I think I've got it worked out, but let's go and see if we make less than 25 PSI. I'd like to make around 20 to 22 PSI with these settings, and then we'll know if the reflex is all working. Guys, let me get some heat in the car. We'll go for a drive. Just to show you quickly, we've got the Canbus reflex fuel pressure on the top left. We have reflex aux output 1. Now that's wastegate duty cycle, so we'll actually be able to monitor what the reflex is doing with the MAC valve. We've got boost in the middle at the bottom. We have the rail pressure for the direct injection, the low pressure sensor for the standard car, and I'm just watching AFRs. Actually, I might change that to bank 1, but that's what we've got on this display, which I will show you once we get into it. And let me just show you the gearbox, so hopefully it'll focus. And we'll take off in first gear. Tons of slip. Slip, 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 slip. They started to blow through the clutches then, so I backed off. However, let's start off in second gear. So I'll put it into sports mode, click second. It sounds normal. No clutch slip. I reckon it's that clutch 1 that's my problem. It could be clutch 2 as well. The gearbox is old, but yeah, we'll just go clutch 2. But maybe clutch 2 is still working okay. Yeah, no slip. No slip. Well, no more than normal. And it flares into third. So here's something interesting. Hopefully the camera focuses. We have light throttle shifts. It shifted far. Ooh, it slipped. So it didn't engage third gear, but it's light throttle 3 to 4 shift. It bites and it's fine. There's something wrong with that clutch engagement. Alright, so we have... Oh, it's first gear, whoops. Alright, got a bit of heat in it. So, let's see if she makes silly amounts of boost. Third gear. Let's go. Alright, I wasn't watching. What did it make? It made 13 PSI. That's not enough. Okay, well, I'll try and stay in it a bit longer this time. Which we will be able to. Let it get into third. Let the clutches grab. Didn't feel very quick. Okay, so that wasn't as much boost as I was expecting. We're looking like 13, 14 PSI, which is less than wastegate, but I think that's because of the way this thing is wired up. So I've made some adjustments. Let's see if the boost changes. I really want around that 20 PSI and then see if we spit coolant out. Alrighty, here we go. Can we make some more boost, please? Third gear and rolling on. She felt better, but no more boost. Okay, so I've moved some settings around. Let's try again. Third gear. So we're getting more boost. All right, so a bit of an update because it's not gone to plan. Now, on what day was it? Monday, I changed the air filter, and what else did I do? I changed the air filter, and there was a little bit of a kink in the hose, and I thought maybe the kink in the hose was the problem. It wasn't getting full boost pressure to the Mac valve and the wastegates. Then, and that was causing it to hit 30 PSI. But then I sort of looked at everything and I thought maybe I have got the wastegate lines around the wrong way, because it was hitting 25, now it's hitting 30. I didn't really know. I always doubt myself. So I switched the wastegate lines. So the whole day today, you've been watching it with switch wastegate lines. But the more I wound the duty cycle up, to the point where I was running 60% duty cycle, and it's still not hitting wastegate spring pressure. So I then put the lines back to where they were when I originally test drove it, when it was originally working and hitting 25 PSI like it should. And we go back to 31 to 32 PSI. Now, I'm on the side of the road, I've just checked wastegate lines again. This is about an hour and a half since you last saw me. And I've just done the bench test for the Mac valve, and I think my Mac valve has stopped working. So it might be stuck in 100% wastegate duty cycle position, and that's why we're now seeing that 31, 32 PSI on a third gear pull, which is nearly twice my wastegate spring pressure. I bet on a fourth gear pull, it'll be that 34 PSI, which is about what 100% wastegate duty cycle should do-ish. That's all I can put it down to. We'll go home and we'll try the Mac solenoid test. But yeah, I gotta stay off boost or disconnect some wastegate lines, because it just shoots up straight to 30. It's fun. Haven't blown any coolant out yet, which is confusing me. But then again, we haven't loaded it up in a high gear either. All right, I'm going to head home and I'll see you in a second. So I've just had a bit of a thought, which I'll try and get a log of in a moment. But I've bypassed the Mac valve. So we now have equal amounts of boost pressure above and below the wastegate diaphragm, which should then relate just back to spring pressure, I guess. We'll see how well my vacuum lines have been done. But I think this should just equal wastegate pressure now. So we've still got boost going to the wastegates, but we've got the same going to the top and the bottom. See what it does. And we're back. So I did do a log. I actually tried to film it, but yeah, I failed. So let's have a quick look at this log. And it's that one there. And boost just spiked up. What did it hit? 25 PSI. So that didn't work. I was expecting gate pressure. Yeah, let me know if that's right. So I've got the same amount of pressure going to the top and the bottom of the wastegates. Shouldn't it make spring pressure? I don't know. I've never played with this type of wastegate before, especially not having a boost going into the top and the bottom. But this poor engine, it hasn't spat any coolant out today. Right, we've got the reflex there. It is now connected, and let's send a bench test, and we should hear the Mac valve. The Mac valve's not working, so maybe this is why I'm having all these weird boost issues. Nothing to do with the air filter, nothing to do with the lines being backward. It was working, now it's not working. Monday was the day I was messing around with the reflex, and I was in the DME box. I'm gonna leave it here. Everything's just, it doesn't really matter if the Mac valve works or not, because the engine doesn't necessarily keep all the coolant in. Anyway, I've got to get some orders packed. We are still filming. Thank you to everyone that's jumping on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you to everyone that's helping me clear out the stock from the 0 to 60 store. Don't forget, if you're in Australia, 0to60.com, new shop, coupon code, 25% off. Yeah, I'm trying to get some money in so we can get a shop happening, and really appreciate everyone's help. Again, if anybody knows any businesses that want to advertise on the channel, please shoot me an email. They'd be really appreciated. And the dogs are going crazy. So I better go. I'll get this edited. I'll get it up. And yeah, we worked out some things. Just not boost control today. We'll get there in the end. All right, guys. Thank you.